Harry Potter's AUROR Chronicles, Safeguarding the Wizarding World. Chapter 1. The Call to Duty. The crisp autumn air carried the scent of change through the bustling streets of London. 3 years had passed since the fall of Voldemort, yet the wizarding world still bore the scars of war. Diagon Alley, once a vibrant hub of magical commerce, now stood as a testament to resilience, its shops slowly rekindling their former glory. Amidst the early morning hustle, a young man with unruly black hair and piercing green eyes strode purposefully towards the concealed entrance of the Ministry of Magic. Harry Potter, the boy who lived, now stood on the precipice of a new chapter in his life.
This is it. No turning back now.
His voice, barely audible above the city's din, carried a mix of determination and trepidation. The lightning bolt scar on his forehead, once a source of pain and destiny, now served as a reminder of battles won and losses endured. As Harry approached the dilapidated telephone booth that served as the visitor's entrance, a familiar voice called out from behind.
Oi, Harry! Hold up, mate!
Harry turned, a grin spreading across his face as he spotted his best friend jogging towards him, red hair aflame in the morning light.
Ron, I was beginning to think you chickened out. I miss our first day as proper AUROR trainees. Not bloody likely, though I reckon facing a mountain troll might be easier than what Robards has in store for us.
The two friends shared a knowing look, their bond forged in the crucible of war and tempered by shared dreams of a safer wizarding world.
Ready to face whatever comes our way? As ready as I'll ever be. Let's show them what we're made of, eh?
They stepped into the telephone booth, the familiar sensation of descent enveloping them as they plunged into the heart of magical Britain's government. The atrium buzzed with an energy that spoke of renewal and change. Witches and wizards from all departments hurried to their posts, their conversations a mix of excitement and apprehension.
Have you heard? Minister Shacklebolt's pushing through another round of reforms. The old god's in an uproar. About time, if you ask me. After all that happened with you-know-who, we need a clean slate.
Harry and Ron navigated through the throng, snippets of conversation swirling around them. The aftermath of Voldemort's defeat had left the Ministry in disarray, but under Kingsley Shacklebolt's leadership, a new era was dawning. As they entered the AUROR office, the atmosphere shifted palpably. Gone was the jovial banter of the atrium. In its place, a tense anticipation filled the air. Gawain Robards, the head AUROR, stood at the front of the training room, his scarred face a map of battles past.
Potter, Weasley, glad you could join us. Today marks the beginning of your journey as AURORs. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but it is also a path of honor and duty. Your training will push you to your limits and beyond.
The next few months blurred into a grueling routine of physical and magical challenges. Harry and Ron, along with a handful of other recruits, immersed themselves in advanced defensive magic, their wands becoming extensions of their will as they dueled with seasoned AURORs. In the dim light of the training room, sweat glistening on their brows, Harry and Ron faced off against illusory opponents conjured by their instructors.
Protego Maxima.
A shimmering shield erupted from Harry's wand, deflecting a barrage of stunner. Ron, his face a mask of concentration, wove through the magical assault with a grace that belied his lanky frame.
Yay! Incarcerate!
Red light blazed from Ron's wand, followed by ropes that snaked through the air, binding their spectral opponent.
Better, but not good enough. In the field, hesitation means death. Again.
As weeks turned to months, their bodies and minds were pushed to the limit. Criminal psychology sessions left them grappling with the complexities of the dark wizard's psyche. Stealth exercises had them creeping through magically created labyrinths, every shadow a potential threat. It was during one such exercise that Harry's innate talents shone through. In a simulated pursuit of a dark wizard, he demonstrated an almost preternatural ability to anticipate his quarry's movements.
Remarkable, Potter. Your intuition could be your greatest asset in the field.
As their training neared its end, anticipation built among the recruits. Their first real assignment loomed on the horizon, a test of everything they had learned. The day arrived with little fanfare. Harry and Ron found themselves summoned to Robards' office, the gravity of the situation evident in the head AUROR's grim expression.
Potter Weasley, we have a situation in Nocturne Alley. A series of disappearances over the past month. Witnesses report strange lights and sounds coming from abandoned buildings. Your task is to investigate and report back. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary.
Understood, sir. We won't let you down.
As they left the ministry, the weight of responsibility settled on their shoulders. This was no training exercise. Real lives hung in the balance. Nocturne Alley greeted them with its usual air of malevolence. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, and eyes peered from darkened window.
Blimey, this place gives me the creeps. Where do we start? We listen, we watch. Something's not right here. Can you feel it?
They moved through the twisting alleyways, their senses on high alert. Harry's hand never strayed far from his wand, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. As they passed a particularly decrepit building, a flicker of movement caught Harry's attention. Without a word, he signaled to Ron, and they pressed themselves against the slimy wall. A hooded figure emerged from the shadows, glancing furtively around before hurrying down the street. Harry and Ron followed at a distance, their footsteps muffled by a charm. The figure led them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the alley. As they watched, more cloaked individuals arrived, slipping inside like wraiths.
Death Eaters? Possibly. We need to get closer, hear what they're planning.
With utmost caution, they approached the warehouse. Through a grimy window, they could make out a gathering of dark-robed figures. The air thrummed with dark magic, setting Harry's teeth on edge.
The time has come, brothers and sisters. The Ministry grows complacent in its victory. They think us defeated, broken. But we shall rise from the ashes, stronger than ever.
A chorus of agreement rose from the assembled crowd. Harry and Ron exchanged grim looks. This was worse than they had imagined.
We need to alert the Ministry. This is bigger than just disappearances.
But as they turned to leave, a floorboard creaked beneath Ron's foot. The sound, barely audible to them, seemed to echo in the sudden silence that fell over the warehouse.
Intruders! Find them!
Chaos erupted. Spells flew in every direction as Harry and Ron found themselves surrounded by enraged, dark wizards.
Protego!
A shield charm bloomed around them just as a barrage of curses struck. The air crackled with magical energy, the warehouse illuminated by flashes of spellfire.
Stupefy! Expelliarmus!
Ron's spells found their marks, dropping 2 attackers. But for every one that fell, 2 more seemed to take their place. Harry's wand was a blur, deflecting curses and retaliating with pinpoint accuracy. Years of facing dark wizards had honed his reflexes to a razor's edge.
Ron, we need to get out of here. Bombarda Maxima.
The spell struck the wall behind their attackers, showering them with debris. In the confusion, Harry grabbed Ron's arm, and they bolted for the exit. Curses whizzed past their ears as they ran, ducking and weaving through the labyrinthine alleys of Nocturne. The sounds of pursuit grew fainter as they neared the boundary of Diagon Alley. Gasping for breath, they finally slowed, the familiar sights of the more reputable wizarding street coming into view.
Why me? Harry, that was too close. It's not over, Ron. This is just the beginning. We've stumbled onto something big, and I have a feeling a real work as AUROR is about to start.
As they made their way back to the Ministry to report their findings, the gravity of the situation settled over them. Chapter 2: The Gathering Store. The Ministry of Magic's grand atrium bustled with activity, its gilded fireplaces flaring emerald as witches and wizards arrived for another day of magical governance. Amidst the throng, a figure with unruly jet-black hair and spectacles strode purposefully towards the lifts, his crimson aura robes billowing behind him.
Oh, lift!
A hand shot out, halting the golden grills from clashing shut. Harry slipped inside, nodding gratefully to his fellow passenger.
Cutting it close, mate. Robards will have our hides if we're late again. Kenny's morning sickness is getting worse. I couldn't just leave her.
Ron's face softened, concern for his sister evident in his blue eyes.
How's she holding up? She's tough, you know that. But this pregnancy's been rougher than James's.
A lift lurched sideways, then plummeted, causing Harry's stomach to somersault. As they reached level 2, a paper airplane memo zoomed in, circling their heads insistently.
Hi, me. What's got this one in a tizzy?
Harry snatched the memo from the air, his emerald eyes scanning the parchment, his brow furrowed, deepening the faint lightning bolt scar that still adorned his forehead.
It's from Hermione. We need to get to the Department of Mysteries, now.
The urgency in Harry's voice propelled them into action. They burst from the lift, weaving through the labyrinth of corridors with practiced ease. As they approached the ominous black door, marking the entrance to the Department of Mysteries, a familiar figure awaited them.
Thane Merlin, you're here. We've got a situation.
Her bushy hair was more disheveled than usual, and dark circles shadowed her eyes, testament to a sleepless night.
What's happened?
The Veil of Whispers has been stolen.
The what of what now?
It's an ancient artifact, Ron. Legend says it can grant control over Inferi.
Harry's blood ran cold. Memories of Dumbledore's encounter with the reanimated dead in that forsaken cave flooding back.
How? When?
Last night, the magical wards were dismantled with frightening precision. This wasn't some amateur job.
Harry's mind raced, connecting dots from their recent encounter in Nocturne Alley.
The Death Eater remnants we've been tracking. This has to be them. By me, as if they weren't bad enough without an undead army.
Hermione's eyes flashed with determination.
We've already alerted the Minister. He wants you to lead a task force, Harry. Find the Veil and stop whoever's behind this.
Harry nodded, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders like a familiar cloak.
We'll need our best people, Ron, obviously. And I want you with us, Hermione. Hermione? But she's not an Auror. No, but she's faced dark wizards before, and her knowledge of magical artifacts might come in handy. Plus, I trust her with my life.
Hermione's quill danced across a piece of parchment, recording Harry's requests.
I'll make the necessary arrangements immediately. Anyone else?
Padma Patil. Her expertise in ancient runes could be crucial if we're dealing with old magic. And Seamus Finnegan. Seamus? You reckon we'll need things blown up? Let's hope not. But his experience with explosive spells might give us an edge.
As Hermione hurried off to make the necessary arrangements, Harry turned to Ron, his green eyes blazing with determination.
We need to move fast. Every moment we waste is another moment they have to unlock the Veil's power. Where do we even start? They could be anywhere.
Harry's hand unconsciously moved to his scar, a habit he'd never quite shaken.
We start where dark wizards always seem to gravitate. Scotland.
Within hours, Harry found himself standing on a mist-shrouded moor, the ancient stones of a crumbling fortress looming before him.
This place, it's steeped in dark magic. I can feel it.
Aye, it's not exactly a warm welcome, is it?
Harry raised a hand, silencing them. His eyes narrowed, focusing on a flicker of movement near the castle's broken gate.
There, did you see it?
I don't see anything, Harry.
But Harry was already moving, his aura training kicking in as he advanced with silent, measured steps. The others followed, trusting his instincts implicitly. The air grew thick with dark magic.
It feels wrong in here. Like the very stones are whispering dark secrets.
A sudden scuffling sound echoed through the chamber.
Lumos Maxima.
The burst of light revealed a horrifying sight.
Bloody hell, not again.
Chaos erupted as the team fought off the arachnid assault.
Confrindo!
The blasting curse sent several spiders flying, their legs twitching as they crashed against the far wall.
Aranea exumai.
A jet of blue-white light erupted from Padma's wand, repelling the advancing horde. Harry spun, his wand a blur of motion as he cast shield charms and offensive spells in rapid succession. But for every spider they felled, two more seemed to take its place.
We need to find the source. Hermione, any ideas?
Hermione's face screwed up in concentration, even as she batted away a spider with a well-aimed flybendo.
Chronicles. They're not native to Scotland. Someone's controlling them.
The Veil. They must be using its power already.
A bone-chilling laugh echoed through the chamber, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once.
Very good, Potter. But you're too late.
The voice sent ice through Harry's veins. He knew that voice, had hoped never to hear it again.
It's not possible. Dolohov.
The air shimmered, and a figure materialized before them. Antonin Dolohov, his face twisted in a cruel sneer, stood amidst the chaos, the veil of whispers draped over his arm like a macabre fashion accessory.
I must thank you for leading us to this marvelous artifact, Potter. The Dark Lord may be gone, but his vision lives on. Viz. And with this, we shall raise an army that will make the wizarding.
Harry's wand was a blow, a non-verbal expelliarmus rocketing towards Dolohov, but the Death Eater was ready, deflecting the spell with ease.
You'll have to do better than that, boy.
With a flourish of his wand, Dolohov vanished, taking the veil with him. The spiders, suddenly directionless, began to retreat.
Blimey, Harry, what now?
Harry's jaw clenched, his emerald eyes blazing with determination.
Now, we follow. To Egypt.
A scorching sun beat down mercilessly on the golden sands of the Giza Plateau. Harry wiped sweat from his brow, his aura robes transfigured into lighter, desert-appropriate attire.
The hieroglyphs on the pyramid's base, they're not just decorative, they're wards, incredibly complex ones.
Can you break them?
Given enough time, perhaps, but it won't be quiet.
A commotion from the base of the pyramid drew their attention. Tourists scattered as a group of robed figures emerged from a hidden entrance, Dolohov at their lead.
Looks like subtlety is out the window.
Then we do this the hard way. Seamus, create a diversion. Ron, Hermione, with me.
Adma, work on those wards. We need a way in. Seamus grinned, a mischievous glint in his eye.
One diversion coming right up.
With a complex series of wand movements, Seamus conjured a massive illusory dragon that soared over the pyramid, belching very real flames. Screams erupted from the crowd as panic spread. In the chaos, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sprinted towards Dolohov and his cohort. Spells flew thick and fast, the air crackling with magical energy.
Stupefy.
A jet of red light narrowly missed Dolohov, striking one of his companions instead. The Death Eater crumpled to the sand.
NIS.
Another dark wizard fell rigid as a board. But Dolohov was not so easily bested. With a snarl, he lashed out, his wand leaving a trail of purple flame.
Protego!
Harry's shield charm bloomed just in time, deflecting Dolohov's curse. The sand where it struck turned to glass, smoking ominously.
You can't stop us, Potter. The power of the veil will be ours.
With a cruel laugh, Dolohov and his remaining followers retreated into the pyramid. Harry made to follow, but an invisible barrier repelled.
The wards, I need more time.
Time we don't have. Everyone, focus your magic on this spot, together.
As one, the team directed their wands at the pyramid's entrance. The air hummed with power as their combined spells assaulted the ancient protections. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like shattering glass, the wards collapsed.
Now!
They surged forward into the cool darkness of the pyramid's interior. Torches flared to life as they passed, illuminating a twisting labyrinth of corridors and chambers.
Blimey, we'll never find them in here. We have to. The fate of the wizarding world depends on it.
As they pressed deeper into the pyramid's heart, the air grew thick with ancient magic. And then
Harry, something's not right. I feel strange.
Before Harry could respond, Hermione's eyes glazed over. She turned, wand raised, a stranger staring up from behind his friend's face.
Hermione, what are you doing?
But Hermione was beyond hearing. Her wand slashed through the air, sending a cutting curse towards Ron.
Protego! Hermione, fight it! It's the pyramid's defenses!
As Ron grappled with the ensorcelled Hermione, Harry pressed on. He could hear Dolohov's voice echoing from a chamber ahead, chanting in a language that made his skin crawl. Harry burst into the central chamber, a cavernous space dominated by a raised dais. Dolohov stood atop it, the veil of whispers billowing around him like smoke given form.
Too late, Potter. The power is mine.
With a triumphant cry, Dolohov thrust his arms into the veil. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the chamber began to shake. From every shadow, every crack in the ancient stones, figures began to emerge. In fury, their dead eyes gleaming with an unholy light, shambled towards Harry. Harry's wand moved in a blur, fire erupting from its tip to drive back the undead horde. But for every infurious he felled, two more took its place.
Dolohov, stop this madness. You can't control them.
Oh, but I can, Potter. And with this army, the wizarding world will bow before us.
As Harry fought desperately against the tide of Inferi, a familiar voice cut through the chaos.
Harry Duch.
Harry dropped to the ground as a massive chunk of stone soared over his head, smashing into Dolohov and sending him tumbling from the dais. The veil of whispers flooded to the ground. In an instant, Harry was on his feet, sprinting for the fallen artifact. His fingers closed around the ethereal fabric just as Dolohov regained his footing.
No.
But it was too late. With a sound like 1,000 whispers suddenly silenced, the veil dissolved into mist, leaving Harry holding nothing but air. The Inferi, no longer bound by the veil's power, collapsed into piles of dust and bone. Dlov, his face contorted with rage, raised his wand for one final desperate attack. But before he could utter a spell, a red jet of light struck him squarely in the chest. He crumpled to the ground, revealing Hermione standing in the chamber's entrance, her wand still raised.
Did I miss anything important?
As the dust settled and the last echoes of battle faded, Harry allowed himself a moment of relief. But even as Ron clapped him on the back and Padma began securing Dolohov for transport, a nagging doubt gnawed at the back of his mind.
It was too easy. Easy? You call that easy? Think about it. Dolohov, here in Egypt, with the real veil, it doesn't add up.
A chill ran down Harry's spine as the truth dawned on him.
This was a diversion. The real threat is still out there. Blimey, Harry. You mean... We need to get back to Britain, now.
As they rushed from the pyramid, the weight of their apparent victory turned to ash. The real battle, Harry knew, was yet to come. Chapter 3, The Final Confrontation. The air crackled with tension as Harry and Ron materialized in the heart of London. The once bustling streets lay eerily silent, save for the distant echoes of chaos that reverberated through the city's core. Shadows danced ominously across abandoned storefronts, and an oppressive fog clung to the ground, obscuring the pavement beneath their feet.
Berlin's beard. It's worse than we imagined, mate.
Harry's emerald eyes narrowed as he scanned the desolate landscape. The familiar skyline of London stood distorted, magical residue shimmering in the air like heat waves. In the distance, a bone-chilling moan pierced the silence.
Inferi, we need to get to the Ministry, now.
With a flick of his wand, Harry cast a disillusionment charm over them both. They crept through the streets, their footsteps muffled by magic.
Bloody hell.
A horde of Inferis shuffled aimlessly, their decaying flesh hanging in tatters. Among them, dark-robed figures strode with malevolent purpose, their wands raised high.
Death Eaters.
Harry's mind raced, formulating a plan. He gestured to Ron, and they ducked into a nearby alleyway.
We need to alert the others. Your Patronus, Ron.
Ron nodded, his face set with determination. He raised his wand, conjuring his Jack Russell Terrier Patronus.
To Hermione Granger, London's fallen. Death Eaters and Inferi everywhere. Meet at the old headquarters. Urgent.
The silvery dog bounded away, disappearing into the mist. Harry and Ron exchanged grim looks before continuing their perilous journey through the besieged city.
We need to be careful. One wrong move and we'll alert the entire horde.
They navigated the treacherous streets, narrowly avoiding detection. The distant rumble of explosions and flashes of spellfire painted a grim picture of the battle raging across London.
Look, there's the entrance to the Ministry.
The familiar red telephone box stood before them, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Harry reached for the receiver, his fingers trembling slightly.
Let's hope the emergency protocols are still active.
He dialed the secret code, and the box shuddered to life. As they descended into the bowels of the Ministry, the true extent of the devastation became apparent.
Blimey, it's a war zone down here.
The once grand atrium lay in ruins. Shattered statues and overturned desks littered the floor. Scorch marks marred the walls, testament to fierce magical battles. In the center of it all stood a familiar figure, her bushy hair wild and her wand at the ready.
Harry, Ron, thank goodness you're all right.
Hermione rushed towards them, her face etched with worry and exhaustion.
Hermione, what's happened here?
It all happened so fast. The Inferi appeared out of nowhere, and then the Death Eaters. We've been fighting a losing battle for days.
But how? The Ministry's defenses?
Compromised. We think there's a traitor in our midst.
Harry's jaw clenched, his mind already formulating a strategy.
We need to regroup, gather everyone we can trust. The Order, the DA, anyone who can fight.
Hermione nodded, her eyes gleaming with renewed determination.
I've set up a command center in the Department of Mysteries. Follow me.
They made their way through the ravaged ministry, stepping over debris and ducking under fallen beams. The Department of Mysteries loomed before them, its circular room spinning as they entered.
Just like old times, eh?
A weak chuckle escaped Ron's lips, but the gravity of the situation quickly sobered them. Hermione led them to a hidden chamber where a group of haggard-looking witches and wizards huddled around a glowing map of London.
Potter Weasley, thank Merlin, you're here.
The Minister of Magic's deep voice carried a note of relief. Harry surveyed the room, recognizing faces both old and new.
Minister, what's our status?
Grim, I'm afraid. The Inferi have overrun most of magical London. We're barely holding on to the Ministry.
Harry's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of information.
The artifact we were chasing, it wasn't just about controlling Inferi, was it?
No, it was far worse. It's an ancient relic, capable of tearing down magical barriers. That's how they breached our defenses so easily.
Blimey, who could have that kind of knowledge?
A heavy silence fell over the room. Kingsley's expression darkened as he spoke.
We believe it's the work of Broderick Bode.
The unspeakable, but he died years ago.
We thought so too, but new evidence suggests he faked his death, driven mad by his work in the Department of Mysteries.
Harry's fists clenched, his emerald eyes blazing with determination.
Then, we need to find him, cut off the head of the snake.
Agreed, but first, we need to secure London, push back the Inferi and the Death Eaters.
Harry nodded, his mind already formulating a plan.
We'll need to split up. Ron, you and Hermione coordinate the defense of the Ministry. I'll lead a team to push back the Inferi in the city. Are you mental? You can't go out there alone. I won't be alone. I'll take a team of Aurors. We need our best defenders here at the Ministry.
Reluctantly, Ron and Hermione agreed. As Harry prepared to leave, Hermione pulled him into a fierce embrace.
Be careful, Harry. We need you.
With a determined nod, Harry gathered his team and headed out into the chaos of London. The streets were a battleground, spells flying in every direction as Aurors and Order members fought against the encroaching darkness.
Form up. Patronus is at the ready.
His team rallied around him, their wands raised high. As one, they cast their patronesses, a dazzling array of silvery animals charging forth to drive back the Inferi.
It's working. They're retreating.
But their victory was short-lived. A cackling laugh echoed through the streets, and a figure emerged from the shadow.
Well, well, if it isn't itty-bitty Potter, all grown up.
Bellatrix, but how?
The witch's eyes gleamed with madness, a wand twirling between her fingers.
Death is but a doorway, Potter, and our master has the key.
Harry's blood ran cold as the implications of her words sank in. Before he could respond, Bellatrix unleashed a barrage of curses. Harry deflected them with practiced ease, his team scattering to engage the other Death Eaters who had materialized alongside her.
You've lost, Bellatrix. Voldemort is gone, and this time, you'll join him.
Their duel was fierce, spells crackling through the air with deadly intent. Harry's skills had grown immensely since their last encounter, and he matched Bellatrix's curse for curse.
You've learned some new tricks, baby Potter, but you're still no match for true power.
With a maniacal laugh, Bellatrix unleashed a torrent of fiend fire. The cursed flames roared to life, taking the shape of monstrous beasts that lunged at Harry and his team.
Fall back. Aguamenti Maxima.
A massive wall of water erupted from Harry's wand, clashing with the fiend fire in a spectacular display of magical prowess. Steam hissed and roiled as the two forces battled for dominance.
We can't hold them off much longer, sir.
Harry gritted his teeth, pouring every ounce of his magical strength into the spell. Just when it seemed the fiend fire would overwhelm them, a familiar voice rang out.
Harry Duch!
Harry dropped to the ground as a massive burst of magical energy soared over his head, colliding with the fiend fire and Bellatrix. When the smoke cleared, Bellatrix was gone, and the flames had been extinguished.
No! Impeccable timing as always.
Couldn't let you have all the fun, could I?
With Neville's arrival, the tide of the battle began to turn. They pushed back the Death Eaters and Inferi, reclaiming the streets of London, one by one. As they fought their way back to the Ministry, Harry's mind raced with the implications of Bellatrix's return.
We need to end this, now. Bode is the key to all of this.
How do we find him?
As if in answer to Neville's question, a silvery otter Patronus appeared before them, speaking with Hermione's voice.
Harry, we've located Bode. He's in the Department of Mysteries. Hurry.
With renewed determination, Harry and his team rushed back to the Ministry. They fought their way through the chaos, finally reaching the familiar circular room of the Department of Mysteries.
Be on your guard. Bode knows this place better than anyone.
They moved cautiously through the twisting corridors, wands at the ready. As they entered the death chamber, a chilling voice echoed around them.
Welcome, Harry Potter. I've been expecting you.
The former unspeakable stood before the veil, his eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. In his hand, he held a small, ornate box that pulsed with dark energy.
It's over, Bode. Surrender now, and we can end this peacefully.
Peace? There can be no peace while the barriers between life and death remain. With this artifact, I will tear down those walls and usher in a new age.
Bode raised the box high, and a sickening pulse of energy rippled through the air. The veil behind him began to writhe and twist, faces and hands pressing against its ethereal surface.
You're mad. You'll destroy everything.
I will remake everything. Join me, Harry Potter, and together we can conquer death itself.
Harry's wand was steady as he faced the deranged unspeakable.
There are worse things than death, Bode. You, of all people, should know that.
With a roar of fury, Bode attacked. Spells flew fast and furious, the very fabric of reality seeming to warp around them as they do. Harry's team engaged the Inferi and Death Eaters that poured through the twisting veil, leaving Harry to face Bode alone.
You cannot stop the inevitable, Potter. The dead will rise, and the living will bow before their power.
You're wrong, Bode. Life and death are not toys for us to play with. They're part of the natural order, and it's our duty to protect that balance.
As they fought, Harry could see the madness in Bode's eyes, the desperation of a man who had gazed too long into the abyss. With a sudden clarity, Harry realized what he had to do.
Bode, listen to me. This isn't you speaking. It's the artifact. It's corrupted you, twisted your mind. Fight it.
Lies I've never seen more clearly.
But Harry's words had struck a chord. For a moment, doubt flickered across Bode's face. In that instant of hesitation, Harry struck.
Expelliarmus.
The artifact flew from Bode's grasp, arcing through the air. With the skill of a seeker, Harry snatched it mid-flight.
No, you fool, you'll doom us all.
But Harry stood firm, his mind shielded by the love and friendship that had always been his greatest strength. With a supreme effort of will, he raised the artifact high.
Ian's now.
With all his might, Harry hurled the artifact through the veil. A blinding flash of light erupted, and a shockwave of pure magical energy knocked everyone off their feet. When the dust settled, the veil stood silent and still once more.
What had you done?
The madness had faded from Bode's eyes, replaced by confusion and horror.
I've given you a second chance, Bode. The same chance Dumbledore once gave me. The choice to do what's right, not what's easy.
As if a spell had been broken, the Inferi crumbled to dust, and the resurrected Death Eaters faded like smoke on the wind. The battle was over.
Harry, you did it!
In the days that followed, the Wizarding World began the long process of rebuilding. The Ministry was restored, stronger, and more vigilant than ever. Bode, free from the artifact's influence, provided invaluable information that helped root out the last remnants of dark magic. As the dust settled, Harry found himself standing before a new generation of AUROR recruits. Their eager faces looked up at him, filled with hope and determination.
The dark arts are always evolving, always seeking new ways to corrupt and destroy. But so are we. Our greatest strength lies not in our wands, but in our hearts, in the bonds we forge with one another. Remember that, and there is no darkness we cannot overcome.
As Harry's emerald eyes swept over the recruits, he felt a sense of pride and purpose. The battle was won, but the war against darkness would never truly end. And he would be there, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ensuring the safety of the Wizarding World for generations to come.